welcome to episode 4 of Victor George Leather Goods YouTube series on leather workshop tips, tricks, techniques, and hacks. So let's jump right in. Here's a quick method I use to remove an ill-set 24 line socket and cap. Instead of using a drill bit, I use an Irwin 1/4 inch high-speed countersink bit, and it seems to work a little bit better for me. The trick is, of course, not to let that stud spin and burn the leather, so let me show you how this works. Okay, for the cap, and I do the short little choppy motions so to just let the bit do the work and bite. So for the cap, I cut a 9/16 hole into my wood here, and that's where that seats, and that prevents the cap from spinning. Okay, here's a quick demonstration of how to remove the notorious splash anvil rivet. These are usually indicative of lower quality goods because they're an easy, cheap method of securing some leather. These are the setting tools for them if you want to use them yourself. All right, so the way to remove this is I have a bench anvil here and I have different size holes. And I find the cap size and I find the appropriate hole that cap can go through. I take a nail setting tool, place it on there, and punch it through. Okay, so that's how you remove it. If you are absolutely inclined or you need to use a splash anvil rivet for repair, then this is the best way to do it if you have to. All right, so you insert the splash anvil rivet, go to the hardware store, you get the appropriate size washer for that, and then you just set it on top of that. Okay, so that is the best alternative solution for a strong splash anvil rivet. The teeth won't rot away into the leather, and the washer helps secure it for a strong bite. There you go. Here's a tip I got from a good friend of mine, Ethan Carter Designs. He's on Instagram. There's probably other places too, but this is just too good not to share with everybody. So what you do is you take your arbor press. You can buy these inexpensive, various shaped cutters off Amazon. And the way you use these, the best way I've found to use these, thanks to Ethan, is this happens to be one of those rare earth magnets, 75 pounds. I put it on the arm of my arbor press, take my project. And this particular shape cutter I use for thick tongues when I cut out my buckle ends for belts. And all you do is stick it to your magnet, bring your arm down, and there you go. How easy and sweet is that? Okay, so that's all there is to that. And these things come in very handy. Here's an old school hack from many, many moons ago. It involves a burnishing wheel. So long before we had these Cocobolo and various hardwood style Dremel Pro Edger type tools available to us, we used felt. Felt was very, very common for a burnishing material. So Dremel has these small little felt drums. They are 100% felt, and that is an important feature to have. And then I just attach them by screw post to a little Dremel post. And I take and I put it into the Dremel and I load it up with wax. And then I make leather rings and other things. This would be great for keepers as well. But using my sheet benders, which you saw in a previous tips video, I just burnish it with wax. Doesn't take much, and she's ready to go. So anyway, that's something that we used to use many years ago. I still use it today, and maybe you can. Here's some weird, but they work hacks for you hand sewers. And you'll only see it here at Victor George because I'm not too embarrassed to show you. So years ago, we used backer boards or boxes to pierce our leather project. So if you have a thin leather project and you want to pre-pierce it for sewing, then I now use a yoga block. And I use a overstitch wheel, or however you want to mark your stitch holes. You take a sharpened awl and you just bring it straight down. You get the idea here. Keep your awl at a 45-degree angle for proper sewing. And that is this tip. Okay, another quick one here, sewing related. This is a bowler's aid non-slip grip cream. So during the monsoons or when it's hot and sweaty in the shop, I'll dab a little bit of that on my fingers, and when I'm doing my saddle stitching, the needles are easily gripped by your fingers. A sewing pair of pliers, if they don't have the springs attached to them, just take a rubber hose here, and that keeps the jaws open and allows you to manipulate that very easily. Okay, so I'm going to show you another technique in the next clip that is an old school tip called jerk needle sewing, and I'll give you a close-up a view of the needle that I'm using here. But it's something that I used during the harness shop days at the rodeo parade grounds in Tucson. The shoe industry uses this type of stitch a lot, but it's great for repairs, both leather and canvas afield. So anyway, let's get right to it. Okay, here's a very old technique called jerk needle stitching. Basically replicates a sewing machine lock stitch. So the hook needle on the right is still available today. It comes in different sizes depending on the thread that you're going to use. And a sharpened awl, your project in the vise, and your waxed thread. So let me show you how this technique works. And this is something that you can impress your old-timer friends with. And it's a very handy stitch to know. So you take your project, and the very first thing you do is you pierce the thread, or I'm sorry, pierce your project with your awl, pull that out, take your hook needle, run it through that hole. Now you take your thread about center, put a little loop in there. You run it over the hook and you pull it through. Remove the hook and you run this thread all the way through the project, and again about centered. Okay, now you're off to the races. So you take your awl, place it into the next hole, you run it through, take your hook needle, on this thread here, place a little bit of a loop, put it over the hook, and you pull it through, and now you have a loop and the bottom thread. So what you do is you just take the bottom thread through the loop and you pull it up, and that creates your lock stitch. Now you pull it through this knot here, pulling on the left thread with a little bit of tension on the right, you lock it into the center of your project and continue on. All to make the hole. Loop, grab that bottom thread, pull it up, and then finagle that knot to the center. Keep your arms straight across when you're doing that stitch. knot into the center. And I'll do one more here, but this is how I'll end it. So you pierce, run your hook needle through, make a loop, bring it through. Now to end this, you just run this through the loop twice. Creates a little bit of a knot. Again, move it to the center. And that is your jerk needle sewing technique. I keep a kit in my camping supplies for doing canvas tents. It repairs, I've repaired mucklucks with it, I've repaired, you name it, saddles, and it's a handy old school trick. Well, thank you for sticking around to the end of episode 4 of my tips and hacks videos. To be honest with you, I'm doing these to just try to gain some experience in this endeavor that I have absolutely no experience in. So bear with me. Thanks for your support so far, and I've got bigger and better things planned for the future. If you do not already follow me at Victor George Leather Goods on Instagram, please do so. And with that, I bid you a good day. Thank you.